Welcome, Cherie.
Hi, Jena. I'm Cherie Jackson, intuitive energy healer and creator of Metaphysical Coding.
Wonderful to have you with us today. Would you like to share what it is that you do?
Being an intuitive energy healer, which is not what I've always been, I'm actually a teacher by trade. I discovered I had this beautiful gift, and it has really developed over the last 6 years. I started out channeling codes, and those frequency codes that work with your body, they were totally numbers. Now I get symbols, light symbols, runes, symbols, and numbers all combined, which makes it so much more powerful healing code that I work with to work on someone's energy and help them where they need to help.
Can you explain to me what codes are?
Okay, I actually came across codes through I was actually receiving a healing session myself from a lady in America. And on her website, she actually recommended a guy called Lloyd Meir, and he actually created codes. Now, he was not an energy healer per se. He was an engineer. I can't remember what type, but he discovered codes which helped with his own health. And he created over 6,000 codes. And that's what gave me the idea of knowing that a code creates a frequency. Like his way of explaining it was like, think of a radio where your body is actually made up of all these frequencies. Sometimes they switch off, sometimes they're just not working properly. So by reactivating those codes, we're like tuning the radio, putting it back in tune. So that's how I was able to create a code to like clear the chakras, because it's a frequency that's working with your body, and it's like a universal language that your body understands, knowing what to do with that frequency to clear your chakras or to rebalance. I don't know, like it could be your intestine, there's an issue. So we create the right code to help with that. It's just, yeah, it's just amazing. If you think about it like a frequency, like a radio, you're tuning it in. That is how the codes basically work. I like to think of them as a universal language that your body understands, especially now that my codes, I don't create them individually for individual things. I create them personalized for the person I'm working with. So my codes have actually evolved from being specific for one sort of thing to covering a whole range of things in the one code. But how that actually works, I can't tell you, because what I get is the message trust. And that's what I've had to learn, to trust it works. Like, I don't understand how a computer works, but I know these waves are working from here and I could talk to someone in America. It's sort of similar. It's, yeah, that it does work. And so I've learned to trust it and not have to totally understand it.
Where are you located?
I'm actually located in the area of Mandurah, so I live close to Mandurah, and I offer healings from home and online. And now, because I've moved and I've got this beautiful big healing room set up, I'm starting to offer group healings as well, up to 5 people. And they still get all the attention as though it's one-to-one, and you don't have to have the same goals as each member of your group. You just have to have one person who doesn't mind being like the leader when it comes to organizing the booking and getting the 5 people together.
Can you give me an example of some of the things that people come to see you for?
It does vary a lot, but one of the things I'm finding it's very common is stress. Stress and that feeling of being stuck. They're just not quite sure why. Sometimes they're aware of it because they're just going through some transition, whether the kids have just left home or they're changing their career or they're just moving into a totally different town, things like that. So I help them to move forward. I tune into their energy body, and I work with their higher self, and their higher self guides the session as to what that person needs. So I can't do anything that is not for their highest benefit. And then we find out how I can actually help them get rid of that stress, to release it. Now, a lot of people say release. I very rarely release, I transform. So if there's something, an energy that's negative or it's just not right for that person, it's not serving them, then I transform it into a positive energy that their body chooses. And that way I'm clearing the issue that's stopping them from moving forward, but it's easier on the body because it's being transformed into a positive energy that their body has chosen. So that's one of the common things, but it does vary. Another common thing that people come to me for is actually emotional trauma, whether it's linked to grief or linked to a past experience. And sometimes they're actually not sure what it's linked to. And I've discovered it can actually be linked to past life that is causing sort of that trauma to come up in this life. I'm lucky that I've developed the ability to actually connect with past lives and see them. And I'll give you a beautiful example. My father years ago had this pain going down his leg. He could not sleep with this pain. So I did a session with him and we cleared what I needed to clear that his body was ready for at that session. 2 weeks later, and I did tell him you'd probably need another follow-up. 2 weeks later, the pain come back. And that's where the real cause behind it came to light. And it was connected to a past life. I could see him on this horse riding along, and there was this tree across the track. And his horse shied. He actually flew off the horse, hit the tree, and hurt his leg. And for whatever reason, that pain was linked to this life. So I do what I call past life forgiveness. So it's forgiving that past life, disconnecting the energy that's affecting this life and future lifetimes. And the pain went away and never returned. It's just one of those simple little things that was like, even though that's not emotional, like I was just saying, emotional trauma, but the trauma was because he couldn't sleep. And that was the past life link to the pain in his leg. So I have
Wow.
lots of things like that. It's just like so fascinating.
Yeah. What inspired you to start your business?
It's funny, I was a teacher and I had been wanting to get out for a while, but you it can never find the right time. You're like, no, you got the security, regular income, that kind of thing. But I've always been attracted to the alternative. And I've been told at a young age that I had healing hands. Well, I just wanted a change and I wanted to go to the alternative somehow. But I was like, no, no, time's not right. So the universe decided to give me this great big push, like being hit over the head with a 4x2. You're getting out and you're getting out now. So I listened and I resigned and I just started working on myself because work had become that emotionally awful, I'm going to say. I found out what I could just online. I did some workshops, did some short courses. Then I went to a reader and it was funny. My grandmother come through and she told me I was being too mental, working from a mental space, not an intuitive space. And she told me to connect to my past lives. That's how, because I've been a healer many lifetimes and I'll be able to, do what I need to do. And I walked out of there going, how am I supposed to do that? But it's just funny. It just fell into place. And I just discovered that I could create codes. And the very first one I created was actually for a psychic reader in America who belonged to this group, and she had doing a reading, the glass broke around the candle. So I asked, like I knew I had like a team I work with, and I asked, can I create a code for protection to help? And I got yes. And that was my first ever code. And I shared it with the group and then going, oh my God, the energy of that code tree is amazing. And it sort of developed from there that I could create codes. And now I'm intuitive. Where I started, I was like an absolute brick. I had to rely on my tools. I created charts and I used a pendulum and I'd ask questions. That's how I've gone from all these charts and pendulum to now just receiving. And part of it's trust, trusting what I get, trusting the information. I think that's what the hardest part of the journey is, actually learning to trust what you get. But it also makes it really interesting. I'm open to see where am I going next because it is evolving and changing with the time. First started, and I remember I was creating a code to help with trauma. And I remember I was setting up what I call like a code to have check for this and check for that and create these codes. And then I stopped and thinking, who do I think I am? I'm not a trained psychologist or trained trauma counselor. And I sort of thought, no, I shouldn't be doing this. And then I just got this overwhelming feeling, no, you are meant to actually complete this. So I did. I created my little protocol and I got a test bunny, this beautiful lady in America. And I won't go into this stuff, and I actually asked people not to tell me a lot about their situation because then I don't know, am I picking it up intuitively or is it my ego because of what they've told me? Anyway, she didn't tell me about her past, but I helped her. And the very first night, the next day, she actually contacted me and said, Cherie, your codes are amazing. She goes, for the first time in years, I did not have nightmares. And we had, I think it was 3 sessions all up. And it was just amazing, the transformation in this woman from when I first talked to her about she hated men, she was so traumatized, to being all of a sudden this loving person who actually went out and got a job and is living life. It made a real difference to her life because I was able to deal with, using my codes, the trauma. And the beautiful part is you don't have to relive it. I just asked her, like the first session, what is, you've got something that's, that's forefront in your mind. I said, just give it a name. Don't have to tell me anything about it. And she just gave it this name, milk. So then I did my code that's rejoining the heart, mind, body, and soul to actually help the body repair itself, to actually recover itself from a trauma. Because everyone should be able to recover from trauma no matter how bad. It's just that when I did a test, like where it was at, I got a really low score. I needed to lift her body up to help support in that trauma. Well, she went from, I do a scale of -10 to 10. She went from -9 to a 6 positive, and then from there, her body did the rest. And it was just amazing, the transformation. And I'm so glad she didn't tell me the traumas that she had suffered, because she had, I don't think I could have worked on her because I would have been in tears. I would have been emotionally too upset. So yeah, that was one of one of the things that really supported for me that transformation, that hey, these codes are powerful, they work.
Do people come and see
Yeah.
you for one session or for multiple sessions?
Not generally multiple, because I can do so much in a short space of time. On an energetic level, I actually ask them to wait, depending on how much we do. If they have like a 90-minute session, then I can do 3 or 4 very powerful techniques in that time. I ask them to wait at least 4 weeks in between sessions. I do like people to come 2 to 3 times, because I'm not just going superficial 1 or 2 levels. I'm going really deep. And then that's allowing other energetic junk, I'm going to call it, to rise and come to the surface. So I have people come 2, 3 times, and then I might not see them for 12 months, 2 years. They come for like a refresher, maintenance, if you want to call it that way, or there's something that's come up in life that's, you know, being difficult for them. So we, do a follow-up then. But generally it's 2 to 3 sessions.
And you also run workshops, don't you? Can you tell us a little bit more about them?
At the moment, my workshop's sort of on hold because I've just moved house and I'm just getting resettled in. But I do workshops that I host myself, but I also host workshops of other people, like Lisa. She's a psychic medium, so we love joining our 2 total different techniques together. So we're combining the intuitive energy healing with the psychic medium theme. We've done workshops on abundance, on self-love. We've been doing different topics each time. And I've got a lady who now wants, she's actually a light healer and kinesiologist. She wants to do some workshops with me combined together. And I had someone else contact me recently. So workshops are definitely on the cards. I used to run them regularly in Bunbury, but because I've moved, I'm sort of in 2 minds because of the traveling involved, whether I continue that or just focus more on around Mandurah and Perth area. So yeah, keep an eye on the work site. I also teach what I do. So, but I haven't got that up and running just at the moment. But I actually have practitioners and I teach level 1 so they share of what I do. So they get the codes to a variety of different things. And this is where I love taking shortcuts. As long as they're powerful, I'll just share one of the things that I love to do is that when like someone's got emotion that's trapped, it's trapped somewhere in the body, identify the main. It's scientifically, it's called the primary emotion. And I teach my students this. And that primary emotion, it can create, I like to call it the trigger, and it creates other emotions. Science word is secondary, but I call them the responses because they've responded to that trigger emotion becoming trapped. So you can have a number of other emotions over time become trapped, linked to that primary one. So through my codes, I don't have to identify each one individually and replace it like in other modalities. I identify the primary. I ask how many are attached. Let's say it's 7. I then ask, do any of those need to be known? So it could be one of them. I need to say what it is and for that person's information. So I tell them, let's say it's sadness around the age of 7 to do with whatever. And so they know what they're supposed to be, and they've got the information. Then I use my code and I transform that trigger emotion with all the other ones linked to it together into a positive energy. It makes it so much quicker and so much easier. And that's something I also teach in my practitioner course. But it's also a technique I use in with my sessions. But I realized I didn't really explain what's actually involved in a session. It's actually quite easy. You come along, comfortable clothing, you sit, you enjoy. There's no hands-on. I literally download a channel, a code. I write it down and it's symbols and numbers. I show the code and then I just intuitively pick up things, what is needed for that person at that time. They get to sit comfortably. They can lay down if they want to, but I'm not standing there doing anything over them. It's just purely me talking, identifying things and using the codes I've channeled to actually correct that issue, to clear it and transform it into something positive. Now, the deep dive is equivalent to a number of different energetic sessions all rolled into one. And it's the person's higher self that actually chooses how many. Only this week, I had a deep dive with a lady, it was 6 sessions combined, where the gentleman just before her was 12. And that's huge.
Wow.
And the beautiful part is all those different techniques that I use, other people use. I don't have to identify everything. I don't have to sit there and go, there's a past life issue, there's an ancestral issue, there's these emotions that are going to be done. We need to balance the male and masculine and feminine energy. What happens is the person gets to close their eyes, sit up or lay down if they wish. I use a special code to get them in the zone, and their body starts doing the clearing, and it will keep doing the clearing for the next 4 to 6 weeks. And I pick up what they need to know about. Like it could be something that's past life, and I see that past life, I describe it, I tell them about it. Well, there's an emotion from the age of 21, it's around this. So they can hear this, but they're just gone like this. It's amazing. They're in another world. They're seeing things, or they're seeing colors, or they're on some journey, and then they come back and they're like, whoa, everyone, it's different. But that's one of the techniques I love because it goes really deep and does so much in a short space of time. And one of the other ones I really love is what I call an energetic knot. Someone can go and have a healing session for, let's say they're a counselor and they're just struggling and they've received healings themselves to move forward, to continue to move forward, but they're just not, it's just not working. They've been doing this for so long, they should be so much further. They come and see me, and I had this with a lady, and I went, yeah, you've got a knot. That knot is what's holding you back. It's a past life energy. It's emotion. It's limiting belief. It's all these different things entangled together. So you're going for these different healing sessions. You're getting one thing, one thing. So I work on the knot, and we start untangling the knot, and then they go away. And I always ask it why they sleep. That knot is being undone. It usually takes 3 to 7 days for it to be totally cleared and energetically turned into a positive energy. So this is just a few of the techniques that I love doing because they achieve so much in that short space of time within one healing session. a really good example of when it comes to emotions, how they can affect you was this lovely lady who would get seasick and she loves skin diving. So she would go skin diving, but really suffered from seasickness. Now, she was actually seeing someone I know as a hypnotherapist, and the hypnotherapist actually I consulted with, and she said, "There's just something there. Can you just help me?" She goes, "I've just got the feeling it's linked to my area." And I tuned in and I picked up. I said, between the age of birth and 2 months, there was a traumatic event that happened and it needs to be cleared, and gave her the code. And when the client came back, she had actually had boiling tea poured over her as an accident around the age of 2 months and had to be in hospital with third-degree burns. The the hot tea had scalded her. And yeah, that was the issue. It was cleared. Never had to worry about the seasickness again. So even though I didn't work with her directly, I worked with the hypnotherapist and said, "This is the issue. This is the code that will clear that." And yeah, so I'm happy to report the seasickness gone. That's
Interesting.
in
Something I love to ask all business owners is, what advice do you have for someone who is new in business?
one of the things for me is patience. Don't expect it all to happen overnight. Usually they say about 5 years, and that's true. There's a lot of work in the background. It's like even finding your logo or your website, how many times I've changed it, how many times I've even changed my business name. It takes time, from my perspective as a self-employed person, to actually really identify with me and what it is I do, and that's evolved. So yes, allow yourself the time to allow your business to grow and evolve. It's not all done overnight.
I
Yeah.
love that because it really is true that your business evolves, and where someone's business starts out isn't always where it ends up, but it's
No.
time
Yeah.
and it's trying things to really feel
Yep.
into, well, what is right for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. Even my colors, everything that things just changed along the way. It's yeah.
And that's okay too.
So
It's a journey, right? If someone wants to work with you, what is the best way for people to book?
easiest way is via the website. There's a contact form on there, but also under, I think the heading is work with me. You can book. You can book via the website. Makes it quick and easy for you. You can choose what date and time suits you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me, Cherie.
Oh, thanks, Jenna. This has been wonderful. I've enjoyed it.